What is up, people of the YouTube land, or a little bit more specifically, my Wattpad followers? If you're seeing this video, it's most likely because that you are following my Wattpad book, the Goodrich Q&A. Well, I've been getting a lot of questions lately, and partially because I really don't have much time to answer them individually, especially since I get so many questions after, like in the comments afterwards. So I decided to try something a little different. I'm going to be answering multiple questions at once in this video. So it's going to be private messages and the comments themselves on the book. Sorry, I'm a little stuttering. Um, yeah, and it's going to be a little different because I'm actually going to be showing the actual question itself instead of me rewriting it, because that was partially the problem in the first place. So hopefully this will work out well, and before I start, if you end up enjoying this format a little bit and want me to keep doing it this way every now and then, just answering multiple questions at once, that'd be fine. Just leave a comment below either in the video itself or the Wattpad story post part, whatever, and just let me know if you want me to keep going this way. So let us begin. I was wondering about what made you write about the Five Nights at Freddy's games and how you got the ideas for some of the endings in the Golden Freddy story. That is a very good question. Writing about Five Nights at Freddy's itself, I'm one of those people who just take a simple game, like perfect example, Plants vs Zombies, probably one of the most simplest games there are out there. Well, I pretty much wrote a whole novel about Plants vs Zombies. It's on my Wattpad page, so you can go check it out yourself if you want to. It's finished, by the way, so you don't need to worry about updates or anything. It's completely finished. But anyway, back to the question. Yes, Five Nights at Freddy's was definitely one of those, because it was a newer game at the time. Like, pretty much nobody knew anything about it except that it was scary. Well, at the time it was scary. Let me put it that way. Yeah. So I had that process of just, what if this was a movie? So I began thinking in my mind about a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, how that could play out based on what we knew. Well, then I got the idea of I was on Wattpad, and by the way, this was before I pretty much had no followers at all. Yes. Anyway, where was I going? Oh, yeah, I decided to search Wattpad of Five Nights at Freddy's just to see what would come up, and I got some of the responses. And before I even clicked on a single one, I said, "Wait a minute, why don't I just write my story on Wattpad?" So I immediately went to the Create tab, wrote out the first chapter of the Five Nights at Freddy's story that you all love, and the rest is history. Alright, next part. So that was the longer one. How we get the ideas for some of the endings and the Golden Freddy story. Well, the ending of the first Five Nights at Freddy's story, spoiler alert if you haven't read that yet. Yes, about the ending. First of all, I didn't want Mike. Well, actually, I was debating whether or not to have Mike die. Many times in the story, I was thinking of having Mike die. Obviously, when Freddy first captured him, when the power went out, I was actually gonna debate killing him right there. But then I got the idea, you know what, let's give him a fighting chance. So then there was the whole he escapes around the pizzeria. But then I decided, you know what the heck. So he eventually gets caught again. Then it went on to him getting stuffed into the suit. Not completely though, because then I was thinking, you know what? No, actually, my original idea was gonna have Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica try to stuff him into the suit. Then he kills them all, escapes, is all calm. Then Foxy comes and just delivers the final blow, ultimately killing him. But first, well, since a lot of people actually like Foxy, I thought, maybe not. So again, I just had him survive, have his Macy find him, and carry him out. Then I was gonna have him die again from Golden Freddy at the end, and just as about to write he was gonna die, I just thought, no, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So in the end, yeah, and the rest is history, again. And the Golden Freddy itself, I don't know. I can't really say what the main motivation was besides Golden Freddy itself. Let's see. Well, I guess it was mainly just thinking, okay, just if Golden Freddy isn't necessarily in the restaurant. Like, that was my theory from the beginning. Golden Freddy isn't actually in the restaurant we play in. So I was thinking, where else could he be? So obviously there's other Five Nights at, well, obviously other Freddy Fazbear's Pizzas. But of course, this is before the second game. So so Golden Freddy was written before the second game. So yeah, I had really no idea of any of the story and lore that we know of now. Um, but yeah, so I was eventually gonna have him go over to another Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, this one in Wisconsin, obviously, and yeah, the whole again spoiler alert for Golden Freddy. Um, yes, honestly, because I didn't want the place to be haunted by animatronics. That seemed a little too cheesy at this point. I wanted it to seem like the perfect setup, nothing was going wrong in a shift, until, well, we obviously find out the horrible secret of the Wisconsin Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. No, I won't spoil that one because that's just something you really gotta read on your own. Of course, there are a lot of people who figured it out, but hey, it's still something, right? So yeah, again, it's just one of those things. It's just, how could this work? Especially when we're doing on a fan fiction. Just picture, how could that work in the actual universe? So yeah, so that was a really long answer. Of course, that was like a three-part question. I do tend to ramble a little bit, so I'll try not to be as, well, I don't know. We'll see. Well, it depends. So anyway, next question. This is for your Q&A. When you write your stories, do you think before you start writing or feel like you want to write and just wing it? Also, how did you get so many followers and views on your stories? Love your fanfic books. They are great. Thank you so much, Carson Strout. And, okay, looks like another multiple parter, so I'll try to not be as long this time. When you write your stories, do you think before you start writing? Yes, I definitely think before I start writing. And actually, it is partially I wing it too. Like, I have an idea of how I want the scene to go, like a general idea, but the actual dialogue and some of the actions themselves are kind of improvised. I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Well, actually, yeah. As I mentioned in the last one, the ways I was going to have Mike supposedly die in Five Nights at Freddy's, like, just as about every time I was about to, like, actually kill him, I think, you know what? No, let's not do that. And so it changes a little bit. Sometimes the whole scene itself changes, or maybe just, again, sometimes a line. So some of the dialogue itself is improvised. But overall, I generally have an idea of how I want to portray a part or the whole story as a whole. Also, and how do I get so many followers and views? Honestly, it's because of Scott Cawthon. If he hadn't made Five Nights at Freddy's, I wouldn't have made the Five Nights at Freddy's book, and therefore, because that book is pretty much how I got my popularity. Like, there's no doubt about it. I had literally no followers or reads on any of my things, on any of my stories, until the Five Nights at Freddy's story. And there was no self-promotion, there was no, oh, read this, read this. I was honestly surprised when I saw how popular it got, because I was not promoting anything. So if you are one of those people who just like promote, oh, read my story, or just like guilt someone into reading your story, like, oh, this is not as good as mine or something like that, don't do that, okay? Because they're not really gonna enjoy your story that much. They just feel like they have to do it to make you happy. I mean, it's just I'm asked a lot to read the people's fan fiction stuff like that. Generally, I try and give them a shot, but it's more of a guilt thing. So if you just, well, I'm not saying that's the only reason I read them, because some of these other fan fictions are actually pretty good. I'm just saying that self promotion is not the way to do it. I know it sounds awful, but you just gotta let it come to you. You just gotta sit there and wait for people to find you. I mean, that's obviously how I got popularity, and so, yeah, sometimes you just gotta wait. Anyway, next question. This is for your Q&A. Who or what introduced you to Wattpad? Actually, the simple answer is the app Kick. It's a messaging app that is actually the simplest way to put it. It's a quick, simple, messaging app, and they have these like little side apps you can interact with it. Well, one of them happened to be a little thing called Wattpad. I looked at it, I was thinking, what the heck is this? So I scrolled through it, and I see it's like a story, writing your own story site. So I thought, This is pretty cool. So I found it on the Play Store, and yeah, and on February 9th, I want to say, 2014. Actually, that's coming up soon. Holy crap. Huh. Anyway, yeah. So on that, then I joined Wattpad. So the simple answer is kick. Also, Shadow Killer 546 asks, how do you get the covers for your Five Nights at Freddy's books? Um, this is one I've answered before, but I don't know specifically when in the book I answered this, so I'm just gonna say it again. Use an app called PixArt. It's on Android. I'm not sure if it's on Apple or on PC, but I use that on my to make my book covers. It's really it's actually how I make my video thumbnails for YouTube. It's a really good app. It's almost like the best version of Photoshop I've seen on a mobile device. And I've tried the Photoshop Express. I wasn't that impressed with it. Pixar is like you can make collages, you can just draw straight up, you can edit photos. I like it a lot. I use it for pretty much anything I use for something like this. So I'd recommend that. And if I remember, I'll leave a link to the Google Play Store thing, the app there. Again, because I'm not sure if it's on the App Store or not. I'll may check that. Anyway, so yeah, I would check that out. Anyway, next question. Here's a fun one. Do you think that the animatronics at places such as Chuck E. Cheese move around at night like in Five Nights at Freddy's? I was just watching Five Nights at Freddy's videos and I just thought of that. Oh boy, that is something fun and creepy to think about. I personally don't think that they'd be walking around on their own because, well, I don't know, that just is kind of illogical. I mean, yes, in the first Five Nights at Freddy's, they explained it so their, like, servos don't lock up, but come on, I don't see that happening in an actual Chuck E. Cheese type place. But that would be very creepy, and I would feel very bad for any night security guards at Chuck E. Cheese. Oh boy. Honestly, actually I haven't been to Chuck E. Cheese that much growing up, so I can't say it ruined my childhood, but what can you do? So anyway, next question. Here's a simple one. How do you get your ideas? That is a really good question. Honestly, it really depends. Like, I mean, it depends if I'm writing a fan fiction or something a little bit more original. As of now, my most original story is Visiting Day. That's a newer one. It's only got one part as of now. I'm working on that a little bit more. I've been mainly focusing on the grand reopening as of now. But anyway, that's my most original work. That one specifically, interesting story, was based on a Facebook picture I saw that simply said, "I wish heaven had visiting hours." And I thought to myself, what would happen if heaven actually did have visiting hours? So it obviously progressed a little bit from being visiting hours to a whole day, and not specifically heaven, but a whole area called the other side. And I'll explain all that more in the story itself. But sometimes it's something simple like that that gives you an idea. And as for the fan fictions, obviously it's the game or, and actually movie, because I did The Purge. It's either the game or the movie itself that helps me, I should say, figure out exactly what I want to do. Like, obviously, there's Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a popular game. I loved it very much. Had the possibility of being a movie or anything, a story that wasn't just sitting there playing the game and actually had a little bit more detail to it. Plants vs. Zombies, obviously, actually was kind of treated more like an actual zombie apocalypse, while at the same time staying true to Plants vs. Zombies. I mean, it ultimately just depends on what I'm writing about. School vs. Zombies, that's a little bit more original in my opinion. Again, that's an interesting one. I'll explain that possibly like in the author's note of that book, but it's basically just saying like, it's zombies attacking the school and how students would survive trying to escape the school. I mean, it's just some of the things that pop into your head one day. It's like, how could that work? So, yeah, I probably said this a few times already, but it ultimately just depends on what I'm writing about. So I hope that answered the question. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, next one. Looks like I'm a little late to the punch on this one. What animatronics do you think will be in Five Nights at Freddy's 3? Obviously, this one was posted a week ago. I kind of wish I got to it sooner because as of yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't even remember, we got the teaser for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So, we obviously know we have that strange golden Bonnie type thing animatronic. Um, but honestly, I don't think that will be the only antagonist. I mean, Scott would just have to. Scott would be disappointing everybody, including me, if we only had one animatronic, unless unless there was a catch to it, like it could actually manipulate some things, like if it was a hard animatronic to beat. That would be the only exception. If it was like imagine just the right first Five Nights at Freddy's game, if it was just like Bonnie itself, like the same AI, that would just be the most disappointing thing ever. So if it is going to be just that animatronic, I think it might be like a difficult one to beat. However, I personally don't think it will just be that one animatronic. I think that the originals are going to be back. I mean, because they're obviously in the teaser. I mean, that might just because the place is a horror attraction now, and it's just like decoration. But in the teaser, I didn't mention this in my reaction video, but I still saw it, that Bonnie's eye moved towards you. So that could either be a spook factor or a hint that they're still alive. I am going with the latter on that one. So I think that the original three will be in there, and Foxy himself, as much as I think, well, Foxy is loved a lot. I mentioned that in my reaction video. Foxy is loved, so come on, Scott can't just take him out of the game. Unless he's got a secret purpose in there. Because as of now, the only thing we know about Foxy in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is his head is a lamp. That's all we know about him for now. So, and as for the toys, well, their heads are in a box in your office. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their endoskeletons won't function properly. If anything, because we never actually really saw the endoskeletons of the toys, except that strange endoskeleton we saw in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Other than that, we didn't see much of the toys' endoskeletons. So that'd actually be kind of creepy if the toys could walk around without their faces. Getting the shivers. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts as of now, because we don't know much about the third game as of the teaser trailer and the green light page. Other than that, we don't know much, so only time will tell if and what more we'll have. Anyway, next question. What is the scariest horror game you ever played? It would seem kind of obvious that it was Five Nights at Freddy's or Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but actually, it's not. I know, that kind of sounds weird coming from me of all people, but honestly, the more I think about it, the more I realize those two games specifically aren't that scary in retrospect. The third one, however, since it's taking place at a haunted house attraction, come on, that's a perfect opportunity for it to be scary. So, but anyway, it's the Five Nights at Freddy's games aren't necessarily the scariest games I played. Strangely enough, I think the scariest game I've ever played is Slender the 8 Pages. Mainly because I haven't played many horror games, because I'm like a huge chicken. Like, I won't play horror games, yet I watch other people play horror games all the time. That's actually how I got addicted to Markiplier. I always watched his horror playthroughs. But out of the horror games I've played myself, Slender the 8 Pages is probably got to be the scariest. Just because, one, it is sort of unpredictable. Like, I played it for the first time in forever a couple months ago. I was scared. I actually got scared when Slender showed up. And I pretty much knew everything about the game. I still got scared. And I was even playing with the lights on. I think it was mainly because it was loud noise all of a sudden. But still, that game actually still legitimately scares me. So, yeah, as strange and cliche as it sounds, the scariest horror game I have played is Slender the 8 Pages. Well, anyway, yeah, that's that. Again, a little late in answering. But I guess I might as well still try to answer it. Well, I should say, what did I expect in the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 trailer when it came out? At the time, since we pretty much only knew about the mysterious golden animatronic and the box full of toy animatronic heads. At the time, my best guess about what we what we would find in the trailer is honestly, well, I don't know. I mean, based on the hints we got, I pretty much figured it would be a sequel. So I figured that maybe Golden Freddy would still be around the original pizzeria, like the one we played in the first game, and that, well, actually no, yeah, that he'd be around, but that they rebuild the diner again. I thought we were going to be in an actual diner again, and that Golden Freddy was going to be the main antagonist haunting everybody, and that the toys were possibly going to like try and be rebuilt, or it'd be like switched places, like in the second game. In the second game, we had the first four in the first game withered in the new toy animatronics. I thought the third game was going to be like opposite of that, where the toys were going to be old, dismantled, and the originals were going to be like the center attractions. So I thought that's where the game was going with that. But as of now, from what we know, that was completely off. But hey, we had limited information. So yeah, that's pretty much what I figured what would happen. So yeah, sorry for answering that a little late, but hey, what can you do, right? Which three animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 are creepy to you? Well, straight off the bat, number one has got to be the old dismantled Chica. I mean, it's something about the broken jaw and the no eyebrows and the wide eyes is what scares me most. And her jump scare when she just pops in front of you. So old Chica is definitely the scariest in my opinion. The second one would honestly have to be old Bonnie. The missing face it is very creepy, I'll give it that, especially with the glowing red eyes. It is something like the Terminator. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Yeah, and the third creepiest animatronic. Ah, you know? I don't know. Those two specifically are what scare me the most. Trying to think. None of the toys are that scary. I'll get that out of the way. I mean, people are always complaining about Mangle and how scary she is. I understand, but Mangle doesn't really scare me that much. Her jump scare itself, that's kind of what scares me. But, like, seeing Mangle herself doesn't scare me. So I think I might... Well, you know what? Since it's not technically an animatronic, but I'd have to say Toy Bonnie. Only because when I first found Toy Bonnie, like I'd heard about Toy Bonnie, but I thought it was fake. I thought it was like completely photoshopped. Then I found Toy Bonnie in the game. I'm like, oh no, it's real. And it actually scared me a bit because I had no idea how to conquer it, and yeah, my game crashed. But anyway, yeah, so I guess that's going to be the best answer you're going to get. But Old Chica and Old Bonnie are definitely the scariest two in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I found the scariest. And I think that's going to do it for now. Those were all private messages, and we're just at about 23 minutes. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the comments of the Q&A book as of now. So, but I will try to eventually. So I had so many questions unanswered, and I felt kind of bad about it. But, so yeah, I thought I would just try to answer them all in one setting as fast as I could. So, yeah, that's it for this. And again, if you like this format, like just doing the video, then please just let me know in the comments in either YouTube or Wattpad. Just let me know, because I probably would still keep doing this anyway. Well, actually, it ultimately would depend on you guys, because it is a bit of a hassle for me to do each individual question on a Wattpad story, especially since I keep getting so many questions on each part. It is a bit overwhelming a little bit, so I personally think this is a little bit helpful, but again, ultimately it all depends on you guys, so you just let me know what you think. And with that, that's going to conclude this Wattpad Q&A session. So thank you so much for watching, or in this case listening, and I'll see you all next time. See ya!